Welcome csc102 to WD07 calendar. This is going to be the Mac version in Word with Microsoft Office, so let's see how this goes. We have 7 columns going across because we have 7 days of the week, and we have 7 rows. We have 2 rows, one with the month, one with the days, and then we have the 5 weeks that are in March for 2020. So we're going to have a table with 7 rows and 7 columns. These will be distributed across our page, and it's going to be a landscape page, and these will be about an inch high, the ones that are actually the weeks that are in the month. Here's our instructions that are here, and a couple things we just have to watch out for in the beginning is make sure that it's landscape and make sure that you have no space after setting. And that's the one we went over in the beginning of the semester where we removed the defaults, but we're going to check on that first. So let's work on our table in Word. So I'm going to make a blank document, and I'm going to go to Layout and make sure that it's Landscape. I'm going to make sure that the margins are 1 inch all around, which they are. And then I'm going to insert a table. So I'm going to insert a table. Now you can use these things here, 7 by 7, or you could just use insert table, just like in Windows. And I'm going to put 7 by 7, and I'll hit OK. And then the top 2 rows here I'm going to highlight. And notice I'm kind of going to the left here. And in terms of size, if you don't see size, I'm going to go to Layout. This is Table Design Layout. It's a little bit different than the Windows version, but they still have a height and width here. And I'm going to go up and make it 0.25. I could probably get away with doing it 0.3. It's not a big deal. Then I'm going to highlight the bottom 5. Now I'm going out of order here, but I'm going to highlight the bottom 5 and put them at 1 inch. So at least I have them sized right. Now again, these top 2 rows, I'm going to highlight through the top row, and I'm going to merge the cells so it's all one. So they have merged cells right here. And then I'm also going to highlight the top 2 rows and make sure that everything's centered. I'm going to use this icon to center everything up and down and right and left. And this is pretty much like the Windows version. And then I'll go in here and I'll put March 2020. And then here I'll put the days of the week, starting with Sunday. And then just hit Tab when you type them. And then I'm doing this out of order, but I'm going to make this one Arial Black. So I could go to my Home tab and just look for Arial Black. I have to go down a little bit here. Oh, they do have it down here. Arial's usually its own font on Windows, but they have it down here. So I'll make that Arial Black, and I'll make this Arial Black as well. And these, I believe, should be 12. This one should be 18. And then when I do the dates in here, I'm going to go here and type 1, tab 2, and I'm going to highlight all the way down. So I have all the rows highlighted. Now I don't have the numbers in there yet, but before the numbers are even there, I'm going to make sure that they're going to be Arial Black. And I'm going to go a little crazy this year. I'm going to make it 14 point instead of 12. So I'm going to go a little bit bigger. And then all that you have to do is just kind of hit your tab key and do 3, tab 4, tab 5, tab 6. And even it'll go down to the next row as well. So if you hit tab, it'll go down there. So I'm just going to tab and make sure everything goes to the 31st, which I believe is a Tuesday. And then we're going to have 4 days in April that we're going to make like a little light gray. So I'm going to do that right now. And I have 31 here, and I'm going to just do the 1, 2, 3, 4. And these I could probably make gray. So I'm going to highlight those and make them gray just by using my font here. And then I'm going to start shading this thing. So I'm going to highlight this one, and I'm going to look for the paint bucket. If you see the paint bucket, if you see it right here on the Home tab, that's fine. You could use it right there. And I'm going to use this second one, and then I'm going to go to this row, and then you could even, on a Mac, you could hold Command and get that row and get 2 rows at once. And then this row is going to be a dark green, so I'll use the paint bucket again and just use a dark green, and then I'll make my text white. That's pretty much it as far as the color. You could make this text, if you click on here, you don't have to highlight the text, but you can go here and make the text like a dark green if you want to. And then if you go on here, which is Table Properties, go to Layout and Properties. Actually, same thing happened in Windows. I was expecting it to open Properties, but if you just click on the table, that selects the table, and then find Properties. And what we're going to do here is go to Borders and Shading, and just so you see that again, we're going to this button down here. It's for the whole table, which is Borders and Shading. And then we're just changing, this is where the color is, and we'll do a dark green, and then we can make it nice and thick, like 2 1/4. And you could see, if you see it on there, you're good. You don't have to do anything else. Just hit OK and hit OK again. You should see it looking thicker. And if you zoom in, for some reason, it looks like there's white lines there. Although if you zoom in, there still is a little bit. I'm not sure why it does that, why it creates a little bit of a gap there. It shouldn't, but that's all we have to do with the color. So that's our calendar pretty much. Now we just want to put a graphic in here. Now I am going to highlight this 17 and make it a green color, so I could go to the Home tab and just give it like just a bright green. And then I'm going to put a graphic there. So I'm just going to hit space and I'll go find a leprechaun. So I'll go back to Chrome and I'll just type in leprechaun and I'll search for images, and maybe I'll try this guy with the beer, and I'll right click and say copy image and then go back to Word. And if I paste, I could do Command V on a Mac. Now it'll be gigantic. Now if I double click here, I was doing this on the Windows version. Instead of trying to scale the whole thing down, which you need to do, I'm just going to highlight here and make it like 1 inch. And you can see now it brought it back to the same page. Now this has a little border on it, so I'll zoom in here. It has a little border. If you want it to float, or even if you want to crop it, if you double clicked on it and you wanted to crop, they have a crop tool here. And if you didn't want that little border, you could kind of move this in, move those little black things in a little bit. And that should get rid of that gray border. And then if you want to go where it has wrap text, if you do in front of text, then it'll float around. So then you could make it bigger. And again, if it's a ping, you could make it overlap, but this has a background on it, so I'm just going to move it aside a little bit, maybe just a little bit smaller. You can even nudge it with your arrow, and that's all you need to do. You could also put a spring break thing over here as well, but I did that on the Windows version. I'm not going to do that here, so I'm just going to put in that one. I'll zoom out a little bit so I could see it, and that's it. That's all you have to do for this calendar. And I'm just going to do a file save as, and I'll save it in my csc102, and I'll just give it a WD07 color calendar. I'll just make it spring 2020. You don't have to do that, but I'll put my last name, first initial, .docx. That's all you need to do. And then just upload that doc file. So that's it on the Mac version.